Welcome to the Debbie and Dr. Rob Show. And I just want to tell you that we have a great show for you today, a bonus show where I interview the lovely and talented Marcella Diane, who is one of our graduates from our Jungian coach training, and she specializes in love and relationships. So hang on. This is going to be a juicy episode. This is the Debbie and Dr. Rob Show. You are in the right place if you are tired of the basic self-help and you're ready for a higher level of teaching in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. We offer world-class personal development and coach training for evolving women entrepreneurs to help you go to the next level of growth in success, relationships, and living your purpose. So let's get started. With this special episode of the Debbie and Dr. Rob Show, it's just Debbie interviewing one of our great Jungian life coaches that we trained in our Academy of Jungian Spiritual Psychology. Her name is Marcella Diane, and she is amazing. So if you're looking for love, she has some great insights for you. Marcella Diane is a Jungian love and relationship coach, specializing in single women who want to enjoy the process of dating. That's a good thing, right? Create a freedom-filled life and find their soulmate. Marcella has an integrative nutrition health coaching certification, as well as an advanced Jungian spiritual psychology coaching certification. She is passionate about personal development, spirituality, human potential, dance, and fully expressing her purpose while creating a life filled with freedom, love, connection, and abundance. And welcome, Marcella, to our show.
Hi. Thank you, Debbie. That was a very nice introduction.
Well, it's so great to interview you because I started out in my beginning life as a love coach, a love hypnotist, actually. And you know, did a lot of work with singles. I mean, that's really what started everything. And love is dear to my heart. And we're going to have some great conversation about the whole dating coaching industry and how we really need to up-level the teachings for people because, there's a lot of stuff out there that doesn't work and it's very disempowering.
I definitely agree.
So, you know, you started out, I guess, how did you first decide to be a coach just in general? You first went to the Integrative Health Nutrition School for coaching. What really made you change your life and want to do something different?
Yeah, it was when my maternal grandmother passed away, and I went to her funeral by myself, actually, even though I was married. And it was so inspiring. Everyone was standing up. Oh, she impacted my life. She changed my life. And on the way back home, the long drive back home, I was just looking at my life and being like, I am not going to get there. I hated pretty much everything about my life, where I lived, my marriage. I was self-medicating with one of those big bottles of wine every weekend. And I'm like, I gotta do something. So I remember I bought a yoga kit on my way back home, and I started with yoga, started reading health books, turning my health around. And I discovered the health coaching school, and I was like, okay, this is something I could do. I want to share what my transformation that I had with my health. And so I signed up. It was very scary. And I ended up ending my marriage.
Wow.
And and that's how I found your work.
You just, it led to a bigger transformation than what you originally thought. That you just wanted to help people, and then you realized that everything in your life needed to change.
Yes.
I
realized if I didn't do anything, I was going to end up bitter, resentful, just always wondering what if.
Yeah, we always seem to find that moment in our lives every time I talk to people who want to be a coach or even want to do any kind of personal development work. there's this like moment in your life, this pivotal moment where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of, being in that herd mentality, and I need to make a break. And my experience with homeless, manless, and jobless, getting laid off and breaking my engagement, like the same thing. I hear this story over and over again where we leave a relationship, we leave our corporate job, and we're just like, we need to start over. We want to do what we really love. And so, and then why were you so drawn to Jungian work? Like, what was it about our work that drew you to, because, you looked at there's a lot of life coach trainings out there, and you had a life coach training, health coach training, certificate already. So what drew you to our work?
Yeah. When I became single, I signed up for every single love coach out there. I was determined to find my new man, and he was going to fix me. And, that's how I found your work. And I was just so intrigued by the shadow work, and I started to do some of the programs and realized how much deeper. And I started to see all the changes that were happening in my life, not just the external, but how I was interpreting the external. Yeah.
And so when you think about the other like dating coaches out there, what kind of advice did you get from them compared to what we do and what you do now?
Well, the difference and what I'm really excited to help other women with myself is a lot of them are blaming the woman for not being feminine enough, acting a certain way. You have to be something that you're not. You have to build up this beautiful, acting perfect, saying everything perfect, having the perfect job external for you to be able to be good enough to find a guy. And that was my mentality until finding your work. But it was very stressful because you were just like, okay, if that's your mentality, that if I can just get good enough that I'm going to find this great guy and he's going to fix me and everything in my life is going to be wonderful, you're never going to get there.
Yeah,
and
I think that idea that you're broken or what you're doing is wrong and you're wrong.
Right.
You have to do, that's why you're single. And, you look around at married people, like they're perfect. How many married people do we know that are, do what we do, or they yell at their husband, or they're insecure. They have all those things. So it's not a behavior idea and they just have it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people will teach, you say this or you do this and he's going to love you. And you can't sustain that. I mean, I was in a marriage for a long time and that doesn't work. You have to really know who you are, and your work really helps people get to know who they really are versus let me become what the world thinks I should be.
Which is generally how we were raised. We were conditioned to fit in with everyone else and to conform and with our family. And we create these behaviors that are limiting. If we grew up in a household with a lot of loud people, we'll tend to be more quiet maybe to survive. And then you go out and date and they're like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. But how do you stop that conditioning just by telling someone, stop that, don't do that habit, don't, who you are is wrong. And I love that, that you're helping us spread the love, the real love, and help people because women need to know, and men need to know that there's nothing wrong with them and really understand who they are. Versus trying to fit in and win a man, like the books like Get the Guy, the 10 Deadly Dating Mistakes You Make. And I had this this book about how to be irresistible to men. And a guy friend of mine is like, why are you buying that? I'm like, I just don't know what men want. I don't know what men want. And it puts you in a very submissive relationship relationship to a man and then also puts them on this pedestal that they're the prize to get. They're the, if you act and do everything right, then they're the prize. And I always felt like that's kind of like how we did as children, like they're our parents. We had to get their approval. And that sets up a relationship to really uneven balance.
Yes, you're preaching to the choir. I had that, what do guys want persona down. I could teach a PhD course on that probably.
The difference between men and women, and there's all these, I see them all the time, and I'm just like, what turns a guy off, and I would tell Rob all the time. I'd ask him, so do guys like this? And Rob's like, I'm not a normal guy, so why are you asking me? Every man is different, and every person is different, and everyone likes different things. So for you to create this like false identity for a person, a persona, basically, you're not really going to be happy. So how do you work with women with the process? Could you talk a little bit about it? Because I know people are familiar with our work, but some people aren't. So
how I work with the process is I help women really go deeper within themselves and find who they really are versus this persona that they have built up by reading books like How to Be Irresistible. This is how I need to be in the world, and really have compassion for themselves, the things they don't like about themselves. I help them work with the triggers around the emotional triggers around if he doesn't call you back. I help them work with attachment to having a guy be a certain way, act a certain way, text back in a certain amount of time. That can make you crazy. Putting all that pressure on the external to make you feel a certain way and take the power back within them.
I know. I remember back in the day, and even coaching people, the big thing that people deal with is, okay, I went on this great date, and you're like waiting for them to text you back. You're waiting, and you're holding your phone and checking your phone. And it's that kind of uncomfortable place. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they text you, and then there's this relief. And then they go on another date, and now they're going to, where is it going? And you're constantly kind of giving them all the power. Now, I have a question for you. You say that you help people enjoy the process of dating. Now, that is a tall order, Marcella. I mean, come on. We all know dating, like a lot of people say, dating sucks. It's terrible. They don't want to do it. A lot of people I talk to say, I don't even want to go online. So how do you help people enjoy it?
I help people enjoy it by helping them see what's going on in their mind when they are judging that it's bad, that it's drudgery, that it's such a chore that they have to do. Because when we're coming at it from that place, it's because we're super attached to the results. Like you sit down at your computer, your phone, and go check out online. If you're not seeing anybody, you're having this emotional reaction of, I'm never going to find anybody. So of course it's going to feel terrible to go online and to look for people because you are attached to whether you see anybody who is attractive to you. And if you can take the power back within yourself and be like, I just want to express who I am, meet new people, flirt, in whatever way that means to you, and bring a more light attitude, a light way of being to the whole process, realizing that the guy is ultimately not going to fix your problems. As sad as it seems, when I had that realization, there was a little bit of that
was the answer I was looking for. Everything will be fine.
It was a little sad.
Charming.
Yeah, the Prince Charming's not going to solve everything for you, but it brings the power back to you.
And then you are actually going to make a clearer choice.
Yes.
In who you're picking instead of picking someone out of desperation. And when you're desperate and need someone to for you to feel okay, we tend to settle for less when we do that.
Totally.
And then we're back in the drawing board again. A couple months later, we're back dating because it's not what we really want. So yeah, it's really a great message. First of all, that there's nothing wrong with you. And second is that you reclaim your power, and who you are is amazing. And you reclaim that power. That's how your dating life is going to be. It's all the internal game versus the external game, and playing like the idea that if you go on a date, you can't, or they call you, you have to wait to call them back, or don't text them back right away. I heard that someone told me the other day, they're like, oh, I heard this thing that you're not supposed to text back, until like right away, cause it seems desperate. What would you say to a client about that?
It's really the energy that you're putting into it. You can text back immediately. 2 days later, it's the energy that you're putting into the texting back. If you're hanging on to texting back and being like, oh gosh, if I text this back, what is he going to think? And he better respond, and he has to say this, or is he going to like this? Or am I going to come across as this? Then that's what they can feel. So going online and using the texting and the communication to really see what your mind is doing is super helpful. And the tools that I teach and Debi and Dr. Rob teach are very helpful for being able to have a better experience with dating and relationships and knowing yourself. It's so much more freeing.
Yeah, I always say tell my clients if they're having that panic and freak out with the dating a guy, and I say, this is why you don't get into a relationship, because this is just dating. Imagine if you're living with someone and I imagine this is like 10 times as stressful, because you're in that person's space. You're wondering how they feel. What a miserable place to be in a relationship if you're feeling this already just dating. So you want to work through these things before you get in a relationship. As Carl Jung says, the best time to work on your relationship is before you get in one.
Yes.
And when we say work on it, it's not fixing yourself, but I think of it, like you said, as reclaiming your power. It's not that you have to heal anything or forgive your past or work on your wounds. It's really about that you already have the power. And what you do is help people reclaim it and pull it out and see what they already have, not build it up, like build up your confidence.
Yes. Going to take the sexy pedestal guy off the pedestal, and you're both
the sexy girl,
the same level.
You're on the same level. Yeah. It's, and I think the best coaches are the ones who've been dating. You know, I was out there dating for 20 years. You've been dating, you know, you were married and then you've been dating and you know, these people, like when I was single, I used to look at, people giving advice, that were married for 40 years, you know, these old, like therapist, coaches that are couples that are out there. And it's like, you have never online dated before. You met when you were like in the 60s when you were in college. You know, you may know what a healthy relationship is, but you don't know what it's like out there with texting and you're dating, you know, basically multiple people at once if you're online, and the whole dating world has changed. And so I always felt like they didn't understand what it's like to be single, what it's like to feel the stress of going to family, you know, holidays and being alone. I mean, that's, I think, the compassion that we bring, us experienced daters. Being single is really a very, critical place. If you're looking for a love coach, you should find someone who's been single and understands how it feels on both sides, not just because they found a man, they're an expert on a relationship.
Right. Exactly.
So it was so refreshing to have more people teach this type of work and empower women. And so I'm really grateful to have you carry the torch for us, Marcella.
Thank
So,
you.
so what impact has this coaching had on your life in business or just in general in your life?
A lot. I feel so much more empowered. I was so limited by my external experiences before. I mean, even just the littlest unexpected expense would trigger me. I had where I would stress over money like crazy. Any guy when I was dating maybe a couple years ago, if he was I call him a sexy pedestal guy, I would be so attached to saying the right thing and making sure I'm being perfect. And I was so attached to him liking me. And then if he went away, I was so deflated and never going to meet anybody. And it was just this emotional roller coaster. So having more control over, and control isn't the right word, but you see things for what they are. You see that you're seeing your own mind and it's coming from you. It's not that these things are going to make me feel a certain way or not. And that's really where taking the power comes. My relationship with my family is so much better. I feel like I'm one way in all areas of my life versus here's my daughter persona and here's my friend persona and here's my persona with my boyfriend. I'm the same way pretty much across the board, which is so much more relaxing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Marcella, what is the one thing you learned that you can share with the listeners that would inspire them?
I would say that if you have a dream, the tools that Debi and Dr. Rob teach and what I teach are so empowering. They allow you to take whatever comes to you through the actions you're going to take to achieve that dream, whether it's finding that great relationship, building that coaching business. The tools they teach allow you to navigate those with so much more freedom than having to control every little thing on the external to try to make yourself feel good or be okay, feel validated. And it's just a way better, more freeing way of living your life and taking actions towards your dream.
Yeah, it's true. It's, you're not afraid of, I think a lot of people, when they do personal development, they want to line up the outside world to be perfect so they don't have to deal with anything. And what we see is that the external world, is going to have, you're going to have ups and downs in life. And if you're only just going to play on the A side, your life is going to be very stressful. But if you have an internal center to navigate life with and have tools to use, you don't have to worry about everything always lining up perfectly.
Yes. I have a little story.
Okay.
I can share. I have a rental that I manage, and I had an email from my tenant that the dryer broke. It's a very old dryer, so I needed a new one. The old Marcella, a couple years ago would have been like, oh gosh, now I got this big expense and blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, I was able to get a dryer at like a fraction of the price, delivered using just my phone within half an hour. And it worked out great.
Wow.
And just the difference between how I would have dealt with that issue a couple years ago and then after doing Debi and Rob's work is just amazing. And I'm not attached to that result, that it turned out, to be a good result, but it would have been okay if I had to spend more money or it didn't work out. It would have been fine.
You know what's so inspiring about that story, Marcella, is that a lot of people, when they do personal development, they're thinking about the big life goals, love, money, success. And they think, well, if I have all those things, the major things in life, then I'll be happy. But what you just said was life is about those little annoyances, the car breaks down, a family member gets sick. Someone tells you that, you have an altercation with someone because you're, at work or something else that happens, a credit card, overcharges you for something. And, like these little things that happen every single day. And if you live your life just like, oh, but when I get that man,
right,
everything's going to be fine. Because even in relationships, there's those little things. And to be able to live life as you're creating your life versus reacting to your life is really powerful. And I really love that story that you brought up something. It may have seemed like a big deal at a time, like, oh my God, my dryer, this expense. But in the big scheme of things, it's a tiny thing compared to like the big goals that we have in life. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes life more enjoyable, is to be able to deal with those little things that show up.
Yes, for sure.
And so if someone was thinking about being a coach, what do you think about the coach training that you had with us? I know you did the 2 years with us, training
yes,
to the advanced level. What would you say was different about this coach training versus other coach trainings and your experience? Just sharing a little bit about the people or the process. Rob and I, how mean we were to you.
Debi and Dr. Rob are real taskmasters. The hands-on attention you get is way more than other coach training programs. The coaching calls themselves are amazing. You get so much transformation and insight about yourself, what you want out of life. That part is huge. The trainings are amazing. I love learning all about the Eastern philosophy and religion and Carl Jung's work. It was like nothing else I'd ever learned before. And the people were amazing, such great women.
And you all keep in touch and
we all keep in touch.
Yeah. It's like a lifelong friends. You make new friends.
Yeah, definitely. You make lifelong friends for sure.
Yeah, it's a great community.
It is.
And you all speak the same language. You're all like not freaking out over the dryer stuff anymore and really helping. And it's really a beautiful thing. And we're so honored that you trusted us to.
Yeah. And it's a smaller group too. Mm-hmm. At the health coaching school, it was huge. Mm-hmm. And you're just like a number.
Mm-hmm. I know we always say that they look at our pricing and it's a little more expensive, but you're getting private coaching. You get
a lot of individualized attention.
Yeah. It's like if you think about it, it's cheap. If you look at other private coaching trainings, it's not that expensive, but I think people sometimes compare it to those big, 100-person groups or maybe even bigger. And we just are, I think our work is very deep and profound, that it's really hard to just do it in a blanket group, because it's really individuation and everyone goes through the process differently and you all come out trained differently. I mean, you all have different goals. Some people want to be love coaches. Some people want to be health coaches. Some people want to be business coaches. Some people want to just do, spiritual coaching, and everyone has kind of like, you're not cookie cutters coming out and being like little mini Debi and Robs. You're creating your own style and your own way to teach. And I find that very, very refreshing, because we don't need a bunch of, coaches that are all teaching the same thing. It just doesn't serve the market. And, so thank you so much for sharing that. Now, how do people get in touch with you? Because we would love to learn more about Marcella. So, you have a website, marcelladiane.com, and it's
MarcellaDiane.com.
All one word?
All one word.
Okay.
And there's videos on there. There'll be a link to where you can join my Facebook group.
And you have a Facebook group called Dating Without Drudgery. Enjoy the process of dating and finding your soulmate. So if you're on Facebook and you want to search for a group, they could search for you, Marcella Diane, or they could search for Dating Without Drudgery and find you. And then also in the show notes, we will have a link to the website, and you're going to have the information on there as well. And on your website, you have some videos and blog posts for people to check out and get more information on how you teach.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. It's, it's been such a pleasure. I mean, I love, our clients. I love to share them with our listeners, because you guys are so amazing, and, you're all doing amazing things, and really changing the way people coach. People do coaching. People learn about themselves. It's a mission that Rob and I have, is to change and up level the quality of coaching and the quality of, the way people go through a process of transformation. That it's not just healing and therapy based. It's empowering and true to the coaching model. So yes. I love that we're again passing the torch and having you help more people, and it brings great joy to Rob and I to see you go out there and do what you do.
Thank you very much. It's been great talking with you as well.
Yeah. So Marcella Diane, check her out. And thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Debi and Dr. Rob Show. You've been listening to the Debi and Dr. Rob Show. To find out more about us, you can visit us on our website at debiandrob.com. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play. We'd love to see you on every show, and thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you remember to believe in your biggest dreams.